place. I haven't even seen your college until pulling up to the parking lot. And it's great to see that another design university is out here. So I wish you well. I guess a year and a half or so? Is that the...
Well, the industrial design program has been around for 5 years.
5 years. Wow. Great. Well, I'm gonna actually. I have to confess, I was gonna try to bamboozle you, but Shelley's here and she's blown my cover because she knows who I am. But I was gonna try to persuade you that I was an international company and that Morphix Design was dotting the globe with different offices. I will share that that has been kind of a private fantasy of mine to actually have a big office and to have sort of a vast resource of engineering and strategic planning. And that's one of the things I think people in school sort of think about whenever they get into ID and they think they're going to be part of a big team of people and you know, there'll be lots of collaboration and I imagine firms like IDEO and Lunar and other places sort of being in this environment and even having segues and doing all kinds of extracurricular things. But my situation is more like this. You know, there's my dog and my desk, and yet I don't think it's a bad way to be a designer. I've actually experienced the other kind of thing, and kind of want to share with you that route because it may actually be your future and it's not something that you should avoid. This is my class, probably graduating before many of you were born, but this is what people looked like in 1983. But that's at Long Beach, and this is just an example of some of the products that I worked on. I worked on a bandsaw where the arm tilted instead of the table. And
hey, that's over in our shop.
What's that?
That's in our shop.
Really?
Yeah.
You know.
I thought my instructor cut it in half. Just
you
to
know
make
Ralph
things happen.
Mesterkamp?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
in the factory.
Really? Wow. Even during school, this was my first product. I wasn't even a graduate, and some company hired me to make a little ionizer, and another company, I was a model maker making little wind-up toys and sculpting for them. But in school, my last project was a thesis project, and I chose to do something kind of mechanical. And that was a device that would lift a wheelchair and then fold it up and then put it on top of a car. And it took way too much time. It was very consuming in terms of the mechanics, and I got it to work the very last minute, and it did. It worked one time at the show, and I got applause, and I thought that was it. But actually, later on, this project came back to help me get a job, actually, a couple jobs. So when I graduated, I got picked up by a guy who was just starting his consultancy himself, and he'd been in Design West for about 5 years. And I kind of vacillated because I didn't know whether to join a large company like the ones I showed you, or to join a small consultant office. And there are some things that I think you probably need to weigh whenever you decide. Do you want to work for Procter & Gamble and have a great benefit program and have a regular job and only work on one little thing? Or do you want to work on a variety of projects and do things that are sort of as they come in the door, and try to seek things out? So one of the things that you may encounter if you work for a consultant office that's very aggressive is to get a variety of projects, and you have to sort of generalize your practice so that you kind of know a little bit about everything. And often you have direct contact with the clients. You hear them, right across the table. They tell you what the problem is, and then you give them feedback directly too. So it's a very interactive process, and one that I think was pretty stimulating and challenging. So I decided to go with that. I had a couple of choices, and I thought, well, this guy is very aggressive. He's competitive, and I think I'll learn a lot, and maybe I'll spend a couple of years here before I move on. I actually spent 5 years there, and I actually did a lot of medical equipment, computers, high-end audio stuff. And this is our whole company, not just my stuff. It actually culminated with working for Apple, doing a system that was supposed to be what it would, speculating what it would be like to work in the year 2000. This is in 1985 or so. So this was, we were thinking about large LCD screens and docking stations and experimenting with different visual languages for the computers. And Apple was seeking this kind of input for their next generation of computer. So anyway, after that though, I think that was really the height of things, and I got kind of burned out. And so I started thinking, what do I want to do next? And this is probably something that you guys are hopefully thinking in terms of what your choice in employment is going to be, what your values are. You know, I even thought, well, do I still want to be a designer? You know, and do I just sort of jump from this company to another company, or do I decide to go out on my own? And I decided, you know what, I think I know the game well enough now that I can just go ahead and thrust myself into it, and I'll take the risk. I will absorb the punches, and probably as a single person, I have a wife, you know, but you know, we can both struggle to put it together. This is pretty much the beginning of my career there, and this kind of tasteless joke was actually not too far from the truth. I really didn't have any money. There was no clients. Finally, somebody that I know actually said, "Matt, can you help us work on this one project?" And that was my salvation, because then I ended up starting a relationship with a company. And it turned out to be a pretty large company, Sunrise Medical. And that project, because it was successful, led to a wheelchair project. And that's where that device that I worked on sort of was my entree into this company. I said, I know a little bit about wheelchairs. I know about some people that use them. A lot of the people at this company are in wheelchairs. And so to have that sensitivity and interest was really a very good foot in the door for them. So I got to work on this very, actually very challenging project. This wheelchair is unlike any other wheelchair in that it folds up forward to back like a beach chair. It doesn't fold up side to side like a lot of the wheelchairs that you find. And the revolutionary part of it was that if it did it right, then it would actually have the structure of a welded wheelchair, which is something that people really desire to have because it's very efficient. And so this thing folds together like that, and that required lots of experimentation. CAD in my day meant cardboard aided design instead of computer aided. But actually, see, this was the problem. Their prototype worked like this. It was a parallelogram, and my design, my challenge, my solution was that this would form a triangular brace, and I had to figure out a way to make the mechanism work, and work, you know, for a person that had very limited ability with their hands. So it turned out to be a very successful product. You know, I think it's in its 15th year of production now. But these are some of the sketches that were done, and some of the prototyping made out of sprinkler pipes, just to prove out the concept. And that led to some other exotic devices within that company. And